My dad's watching the Eagles game. I'm so sorry. That's embarrassing. What's up, guys? It's Monday, December 2nd. It's 8:47. I'm like 2 minutes late, but I'm at Rowan School of Osteopathic Medicine, and I'm going to shadow one of the medical school students, and I'm so excited. So I'm going to shadow a PBL student from 9 to 12. So hopefully they allow me to vlog in here. We'll see, but I'm late, so I gotta go. But see you in a second. Bye.
I would like very fast. I was going to
I tried to vlog. That didn't work. I wasn't allowed to vlog. Sorry. But I took notes. And I'm gonna tell you guys everything about my experience, okay? Let's get into it. They sent us a link after our interview, and we were able to sign up and shadow a student. So pick a date, everything. The student reached out to me via email and, prepared, and I slid over there. It was really cool. So if you don't know, Rowan has two different curriculums for medical school. They have traditional, and then they also have problem-based learning, aka PBL. So if you're like me, I have no idea what PBL is like. Traditional is more of like, typical college class where it's lecture and then you go home and figure the rest out. That's really just it. So with PBL, it's definitely new for me. So I was like, well, if I have the option and if I potentially go to the school, I'd like to pick the best curriculum that will work for my learning style. So with PBL, it's more hands-on group based curriculum. This block was the gastrointestinal system with nutrition, biochemistry, all that stuff that has to do with food and vitamins and how you digest and absorb and blah blah blah. The glycolysis, the pathways, the Krebs cycle, all that, all that good stuff in mitochondria and all that stuff that you learned. Yeah, you're gonna need it. Yeah. So there were 8 students in each class. It's like a little round table discussion, and the students are led by not necessarily a physician, but someone very educated in whatever class they're talking about. For the first half of the class, it's the students are teaching themselves. So each of them do about a 10-minute presentation about one of the learning issues they talked about last class. Now, learning issues are formed when, towards the beginning of the block, they go over like an overview of what they're going to learn, and when things come up, they have to write them down if they don't understand. So say glycolysis, if we're not really sure what glycolysis is, or we don't understand all the full pathway, then we're going to write that on the board. Someone's going to be in charge of teaching class about glycolysis in 10 minutes. It's definitely an overview, so you're going to have to do your work when you go home, but it's really cool because the students were just teaching themselves, and I thought that was very realistic, because when you're a physician, you're basically going to be teaching. You're going to be teaching patients, you're going to be teaching other physicians, whoever else you encounter, and it was more of like a group effort, so I really appreciated that. So every student did their 10-minute presentation, and then the second half of the class, they go over a case. Now this case, it's like a type of software that's on the computer. One of the students, they'll go in, and you get a short snippet of a realistic patient encounter. So this patient enters the ED with the chief complaint of, let's say, I forgot, so we're going to... My dad's watching the Eagles game. I'm so sorry. That's embarrassing. I knew that was gonna happen at least once. It was a 59-year-old male. He was minimally responsive and nonverbal. So they don't really get much information at first. You just get the chief complaint, why the patient is here, okay? So you're going to treat this like a real life situation. Say you are the physician in the ED and you have to treat this patient. How are you going to do this? So first thing they do is, I don't know if you guys could tell, but there's whiteboards going around the entire room. So on these whiteboards, students are writing down different facts and notes that are going to be helpful for them to determine what is wrong with this patient and how they're going to treat this patient. For example, they're going to write down their family history. They're going to write down medications they're on, their social life, their nutrition. Then next, the students are going to jot down tests. So tests can be like an MRI or a CAT scan or anything that the students think will be helpful also in determining what is the problem with this patient and how they're going to treat them. And then lastly, there's differentials or DDX. So with the differentials, it's basically a list of things that could possibly be wrong with this patient, but we have to work through all of them to see what we can confirm and what we can reject. So for example, this patient had diabetes, so they were malnourished, so they could either have hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia. So they wrote those down, and then over time the students confirmed that it was hyperglycemia. So there's like a downward arrow next to hypoglycemia because that's basically negated, and then an upwards arrow next to hyperglycemia. So that was confirmed. The students communicated with each other and kind of piggybacked off different ideas as they were working through this case. That's a real life situation. I mean, you could possibly be by yourself in the situation as a physician, but overall it's definitely a team-based environment for the most part, and that's what I really enjoyed about PBO. It's a group effort, different from traditional when you're sitting and being lectured in a classroom where you can't really share ideas with different students until after the class. So I was just thinking in my head, like, what would be best for me? Now, some people would rather have traditional. Some people may not want to talk to others and do things in a group setting. They might want to just take that information, internalize it, and then go home and study it. Whatever works for you, but I know if I were to go to the school, I would definitely pick PBO. That one was lit. Okay. So other than having the opportunity to compare the different curriculums that are offered at Rowan, it was also really cool to see how the students interacted. The students were very nice, very open. I didn't know how the students were going to be, and it's just like, you know, they're regular people too, of course. Some of them just came out of undergrad. Some of them didn't go to school for like years and all of a sudden decided that they wanted to be a doctor. So it was also very diverse as far as like ethnic background and culture. The students were really excited to have a shadowy there, so that was cool, but it was just like I was a little fly on the wall, honestly. I did participate in answering a few questions during the presentation. I was able to answer a question that no one knew, so I was like pat myself on the back because I knew. And I'm not in medical school. And I was like, oh, you was smart. You was kind. Period. That was cool though. Overall, I would say my experience was awesome. I'm not sure if other schools allow applicants to shadow their students. I would reach out to the admissions committee, or if there's a such thing as like a student ambassador, because that's what we went through for Rowan. It was a student ambassador that we contacted, and that's how we set it all up. So if you can shadow, please shadow. It's kind of rare. Some schools don't do it. Some schools never really had that interest. So I would ask, maybe if you're at an interview and then you have the opportunity to ask questions at the interview, of course. Even if it's not like a formal thing that they have to do to set up this experience, if you can contact one student and say, hey, is there any way that I can shadow you one day? Maybe if you're in the area. I'm not sure if you would want to like fly across the country just to shadow a student for like 3 hours. But hey, if that's what you want to do you, boo. You get to see what's about to happen to you. And if you're like me, I like to know. I need to know these things. I don't like surprises, especially with something like this. So it's like, But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you have not, because there will be some upcoming information. Make sure you like this video. I mean, if you didn't like it, that's fine too, but it's free, guys. It's free, so you might as well. You feel me? But catch y'all later in my next video. See ya.